free the slave generals and in no stone sea. PS elections is coming up, we gon' see. Hello my president, hello my president. Hello my president, hello my president. Hello my president, hello my president. Hello, today you got a message from the residents. Hello my president, hello my president. Hello my president, hello my president. Hello my president. Hello, today you got a message from the residents.
Muziki Moment was brought to you by
The following program is rated PG. Parental guidance is advised.
Good evening. Welcome to the Face Off. Friday night, Peter Kivazo and full house. I wouldn't say full table. Full house. We're hoping that was a nice ending to your week. Like I say often, the weather, it gets really that bad, and I was in a place part of this week where the forests are being shared out. That's how bad it is. There was a time when Ugandans were complaining about Mavida, they were complaining about what, but in a section of Bunyoro now, the kingdom and NFA are conspiring to say this land was part of the private land, it wasn't part of the national forest. So they're giving out chunks of forest and no one is raising their voices. And this weather will go on. With me in the studio, peculiarly in a go-forward shirt, David Obwangmoy Pulkol.
Yeah, we must go forward. Regardless what, the country should go forward.
Good evening, David.
It's called defiance. Status quo, reject the status quo, and we go forward. Don't be discouraged. Don't be intimidated. Don't be confused. You know where to go.
You have forward. The airline sign, and the airline is returning.
It's a crane.
So the crane will go forward. I have Misach Nuhavine, Misach as well on board. I just told him before we came on the show, the other Misach that I know has used the name Misach and played with language very well, and he's making a lot of money out of singing. And Misach is here busy speaking English. He should be really putting up shows at the Cricket Oval. Welcome, Misach.
Thank you very much, Peter, and good evening to the viewers out there. And yeah, we all don't have to sing, but I'm trying to do certain things that will make his singing environment better.
Well, and Charles Romshana, the only peasant on the show, still need the
Almighty God is great, and trust no any other power, money, human being, except God who brought you on earth.
And you are not about to graduate from the need.
Trust God.
The state has been captured by the wealthy.
Right, viewers,
works for the wealthy.
I went to bed yesterday when the British had gone through a referendum that Mzee Semogere used to say referendum. A referendum that had to decide whether or not they would stay within the European Union. But for me, beyond just staying in the European Union, I was looking at the waves across Europe and into the Americas, and looking at extreme right-wing politicians, and a bit of, I don't know, the nationalist syndrome and theory re-rising across different places. I've seen people in Belgium today drumming up and saying, wait a minute, we need one like the British, we don't need this thing. I've seen, I think, Norway as well rising up and saying, we need to check the Schengen. The Schengen is pouring people here. We've saved money. Norway is one of the countries that saves the most money. Is one of the most frugal countries in the world, and one of the richest social welfare states. But they are saying what the Schengen is doing is it's pouring in people through Sweden, and they are going to eat on the Nordic savings. And they are saying we need to rethink this. David, were you shocked by the Brexit? Are you one of those that thought it should never have happened? Do you think that with Bwana Donald Trump, the other side drumming up, the British exiting the EU, it has ramifications for the world to a point that will shock the world?
I think there are two concepts here, local and global. Go local or global. Now, I studied in London School of Economics, 85-86, during the Thatcherite clan, when they were in charge, the Thatchers and Reagan, the other side, the Conservatives, coming out of that wheel of discontent that happened, and therefore we are part of those who are studying how to make the British economy flexible, how to avoid ghost cities coming out in Castle upon a Tyne and so forth, as business was moving more down south into London and southern part. So how do you revitalize the economy in Wales, in Scotland, and so forth? So I was doing economics. And Britain going after Japan, introduction of robotics and so forth, redesigning the workplace, that kind of thing.
And
so
by that
stimulus,
time they were very heavily shaken by
85, 86, yes. So therefore, knowing where Britain is coming from, and then how it has managed to keep its identity, even when it is in Europe. There's always been that debate for the last 20, 25 years or so. Now, the challenge here now is, in the world today, the international capital has collapsed all these boundaries to advance so that their capital and services can move freely and sometimes without taxes and so forth. So they have created a world which works for the rich. To the extent today you have multinational corporations which are richer than even countries like Uganda. Look at Bill Gates, for example. So, and yet these individuals don't have the same responsibilities like a state. Now, Uganda came and swallowed that wholesale and said government should be out of Uganda Airlines, out of commercial bank, out of corporate, government should not do business. So they took that pill, and now they find themselves in a situation where, in that religion where government is not supposed to own anything. If there's pool houses, they must be sold. If there's cars, they must be banked. If government has money, it must be stolen. So now you
Was
find...
that part of the policy?
Now, of course, that's what has happened now. Okay. In Britain, for example, this is what I read out of this referendum. The Britons now have voted against multinationals. They have voted against the rich because the European Union they created has helped more the rich, and the disparity between the poor and the rich has widened. So this thing has not worked for everybody. So now there are people who are shocked. Okay, it's like here in Uganda where the state has been captured. Like the East African community is being captured by, again, these multilateral corporations. I told you the other day how multilateral corporations have gone into Karamoja, how we are being made to lose land, to lose our inheritance, to lose minerals. Nobody's even putting a weighbridge to know even how many tonnage is leaving, even in terms of taxes, even in terms of royalties. Nobody's paying nothing. So I'm just telling you how the looting by international capital. And therefore, they are creating a situation where the ordinary people will have to stand up and resist. So in Uganda today, you have that problem where those who came in ragtag as NRA are controlling political power and military power. Then they are joining hands with multilaterals who have capital. And then with paper pushers, the influence peddlers in the corridors of power. So they have connived, the three people, influence peddlers, political power, and international capital, to dispossess the ordinary people of their inheritance, of their wealth. So what I read out of this a wave that's flying through Europe now is a renaissance of sorts, where citizens are questioning what their leaders are doing.
Thank you. Charles, before I come to Misach, do you really care? Does it matter whether the Brits are... I mean, Empire Britannica has had a metamorphosis of different forms, from the great empire where the sun never set, to only Great Britain, to a bit of Britain with the Strip of Gibraltar, to Canada, to Australia, and then the Commonwealth that is an appendage to it. Today I had India. Very worried because India does about 17% of its foreign trade happens in Britain, and it is their foothold into Europe. And India was more worried than the British. Actually, the stock market in Delhi was hit harder than the stock market in London. And I was thinking, wait a minute, this was supposed to be India, many, many miles away. Why would India rock harder than London? But there we're at.
To buy these junk things, we buy from China. Because you know we are the leading importers of junk from China. To buy that junk, you must first purchase either $1, £1, or €1. You will not use the Chinese
Yen.
Is it yen?
Yes.
Yen
is Japanese. Yuan.
You know why you don't know? Because when you are importing your junk car, this junk car,
mine is waiting for the banker.
This junk car, when you're importing it, you didn't need to get the yen.
Dollars.
Very good. And I think, I'm told, that's the problem Saddam Hussein had. That he wanted to value the oil of Iraq in the euro. Because oil, I'm told, is valued in the dollar. So, 2, how many apply to go to Britain? Check the whole world. Just close your eyes and you see how many are on the line buying forms to apply to go to Britain. Even to pass through.
They are the most sought after global destination. And second is the USA.
You see, you hear even those words. Global destination. When you fail, do they refund your money? I want to come there, and they ask you, how much do you have on the account? they are really very sweet. How much do you have on the account? Then you have to give them all the accounts. I mean, this is the only account you have. I also have this. Actually, you even struggle to show them that you are very rich. And then they check and they say, yes, yeah. And that's them. So I'm interested. I'm interested in them. Not that there is, you see, in the national, if you monitor National Geographic, in the wild, there are animals that eat others. Here we call them abanyama, who eat ababoga. Those that eat, the ones that eat grass. So for you are permanent on grass. Those that eat meat eat those on grass.
The carnivores and the herbivores.
So abanyama baboga. Now the hyenas are eat in a group. They eat in a community. That is the union. The union, the community. They eat in the wolves, the lions, but there are others that also eat as individuals in singular. They're like the leopard, the python. It will swallow you alone. So it does not matter how my prey, that the one that is going to devour me, how they operate, whether they operate in a group, whether they operate as individuals. In any case, they are going to eat me. And that is the character, the texture of Britain. Historically, they are pirates. I think Britain, Spain, pirates. That's historically. They colonized us, but who did so? It was a company called Imperial British East African Company. That time, did we even have East Africa?
Headed by a captain.
And the one who was commanding it, not these generals of yours, captain called Rugad. And with his gun called the Maxim gun. You can even see, I know that guy, I know his history, including the equipment. I don't know the African resistance. Because they even wrote our history. They are like NRA. They change everything. So yes, I'm interested in knowing them. I'm not very sure that they impact the world because we are not on the stock exchange. These wheelbarrow pushers, what do they? I'm not even very sure whether their immigration policy would affect us. Because historically, when they had world wars, they ran to Africa. They ran to us to seek refugee. They were getting wiped out. They were wiping out themselves. Now, when the Arabs and those Africans in the north are having problems, they die in the waters. They cross them. That's how they are. But that wouldn't be a big problem. Now here we are federating. Those are the lessons I'm taking from them. We are federating. unfortunately for us, the federation is not from our referendum. It's not from a referendum. We are not consulted to in federating. Should also begin debating exiting? This is
You can't exit what you haven't entered.
No. Can we
It's
also?
a club of presidents and ministers who go to Arusha, they come back, they go.
Why? It is not the Kenyan who is dispossessing me of my land. It's not even my brother from Tanzania. No, it is the Indian. It is the Chinese. The Kuli is the one who is dispossessing. Actually, for the Chinese, they even take the worms, the frogs, the sand here in Kakatonga. You go and check there. They are even now mining sand. Musenyi. So
And that sand is for making glass. Where President Museveni has put his portrait with that of Gaddafi. That sand can make windscreens, can make bulbs, can make glass.
Even if the
but
sand
now
is
it's being mined by.
Even if it is going to make jet fighters, I don't care. But you can see someone comes and is taking sand, is competing with your neighbor, and you can see how dispossessed your neighbor is. He's still being described as poor, and less than $1, I think, a month, and you want that one to compete with the other Chinese. That's why we put a law that protected land, because our identity, our color, but the bad thing is that they provide us food, they provide us water, they provide us medicine. If you go to check all those, they are junk. You can't live to 90, you can't live to 120 that your grandparents used to do. Generations now, if you check in the villages, the people are young because most of them have passed on.
Misach,
Yep.
are you worried by the increased feel of nationalism or ultra-nationalism, as Europe wants to call it?
Is building on what Charles was saying. Not only have these guys rewritten our history and defined what we will study, that we will study Captain Lugard, not the African resistance.
I actually know about Marco Polo.
Exactly.
Going on
now,
foot to China.
we are more engrossed into looking at the effect of some of these actions on the people doing the referendum and whatever themselves than even ourselves here. I was looking at a number of threads on social media and all that, and you don't see anybody making an effort to discuss the implication of this decision that the UK, the Britons have made on Africa, on Ugandans, learning experiences for East African Federation and all that. They are simply trying to play themselves genius in discussing the effect of all that on Europe and all, you know.
I was looking at least at India.
Can we bring it home? Is it something that we should
But even
shift
when you are talking about India, this ocean at Mombasa, why should it be called the Indian Ocean? Why not the African Ocean?
Let's not go there, Charles. But is it something that we can look at in relation to what implications it has on us? Okay, at least if we're not bringing it back home to the country, let's look at the Ugandans who are in UK on Cheyo.
Oh, hold on, Misach. You see, for you to be impacted directly, it is like in economics. If you raise taxes, someone that isn't actively engaged in the economy will shrug. So you don't have the stock exchange like Charles or David says. You don't have a stock exchange that is functional here. You do not have an impactful export economy. Why do I need to look at you and the British?
But you see, even our foreign ministry, when asked,
I had a series of chats with different people the whole of today, both here and in UK, specifically in London. And there was this interesting discussion that one person took me through, and I now realized a direct implication of who voted Remain, who voted Leave. And this person was like, because of the privileges of the Union that come with the European Union, there is free inflow of cheap labor.
Indeed.
Now, me who took trouble to get a visa and get on a plane and go to the UK to work, whereas I would be demanding for £7 per day
for work. This person from the European Union
Who comes through the channel.
comes through the channels has no problem working for £3 a day, because Britain, the economy and cost of living in Britain is much higher than most of these European countries.
Indeed.
So whatever little pound this person will be able to collect within London or within UK,
The UK.
makes a lot of sense when this person goes back home. And for them, it's not like Uganda where you need the ticket and all that to fly back here. They will just drive across
Or do
countries.
a train.
Or do a train and go home. So, and the worker, the employers themselves were getting to a level where they would say, now, for you, since you are £7 a week, we reduce your working hours to 3 days or 2, so that for the other 3 days, I employ this £3 worth of a worker. Now that impacts on the earnings of this
The
particular
welfare.
person, who probably is my brother, who probably is my cousin, or who pays school fees for my child. So I have that direct relationship. But you also notice that actually it impacts on the ordinary Briton who is doing plumbing work, who is doing electric installations, not the other mafioso that David was talking about. Because
Who is keeping their money in Gibraltar?
yes,
And that's why in the
because for this
collusion with
ordinary
Parliament,
plumber,
with cabinet.
whereas he may charge something like £100 to do work, I'm just using a figure, the cheap labor from these other European countries will come and want to do that work at £30. So, and because for them, they don't have to spend their money in London all the time. And when this money is
Eastern
Shipped
Europe.
back home.
back to Eastern Europe and all the other places, it really means a lot. Having £30 in some country in Eastern Europe makes a lot of sense than having £150 in UK. So it does not cut them off that much. So when you really analyze the implication of this decision, it's something that we should not just dismiss at that high value of the things we've been told about the goodness of economic integration and all that below. Who exactly is benefiting from this? And you know, the other interesting bit is that for the many years that Labour was in power, the Conservatives were so strong against staying in
the
EU. When the Conservatives came to power, they still remained strongly against their membership in the EU until not long ago, when there were a number of meetings, and all of a sudden the Conservatives themselves were so shocked to see the change of face with David Cameron. And like someone mentioned earlier somewhere outside the studios, that marchers were claiming Cameron for having taken a step and resigned and saying he cannot lead a country whose direction he doesn't believe in. I do not think Cameron had an option. The kind of wedge,
Cameron is like, but
the kind of wedge that had been driven between him and his own Conservative Party because of this referendum could not let him steer the Conservative Party any further.
Misach, before I take the break, I just want to do the mirror and reflect home. I had an experience some time back when the furor of the East African community was building up. Rwanda flips the coin open and says, if you're from the East African community, you're welcome without not only visa, work permit. You can work in Rwanda. Kenya says they will do reciprocal to only countries that allow Kenyans in without work permits, so shall they. Uganda was largely vague, but Uganda was beautiful. You would come and work anyway, with or without a work permit. Somehow you would find your way. Tanzania stamped their foot firm. I know a newspaper industry where the Nation Media Group took people to Tanzania from Kenya and largely from Uganda to set up a newspaper. And the Tanzanians said, wait a minute, Ondoka, we want you here to do, I think it's 18 months. You do 18 months, you have to have trained Tanzanians. Whether you have or haven't done, after those 18 months, you don't renew your work permit. And Tanzania has remained, what do they call it, black sheep, white sheep of the community.
I think, I don't know about the community, but it's pro their people.
Yes, and I'm asking myself, when you think
than
of
these looting
this,
companies.
is Tanzania playing the, what would it be, Texit, Because it seems like Tanzania has slowed down everything in this community. Are they being smart? Are they being cautious? Are they just ultra nationalists?
They're being responsible to their
think
citizens.
Tanzania,
Let me come back on
I think
this.
Tanzania is being conscious, but also putting citizens, putting Tanzania at the fore. You know, like someone said earlier, who was consulted before we entered the federation?
The community.
The community.
And who is federating?
And who is federating? And every time we keep hearing someone saying, I'm not leaving until the federation, until it happens. But you're not finding out whether this is being done for the good of the people that you are taking in there. What are we selling into the community, for example? What are we taking to the community? We don't even have enough watermelons to consume here. So how can we be talking about watermelons to the community? So Tanzania is looking at these sharp neighbors who probably are looking at more than they are putting on table. And they are consciously saying, wait a minute, we must be 100% sure that whatever we are going into is for the benefit of the Tanzanians, the ordinary Tanzanian.
There are two animals our leaders have created. One is called cow, coalition of the willing. The other one is cock, coalition of the conscious, being conscious. And that's where Tanzania is. And these ones were willing to sell themselves, and because those in the corridors of power and those influence peddlers, those who are negotiating deals, together with the international capital, are moving on the same axis, and then they are dispossessing the poor. So Tanzania is in a different group than these looters that have captured the state and using it for their own end.
I want to take a break, but
Can I make a comment on
yes,
that?
yes.
Tanzania is still for the liberation of Africa.
Or are they slow?
No.
They're being conscious.
They are still for the liberation of Africa. And some of these groupings we have around are agents of Rugad. And the other ones are watching, these ones are giving our land, impoverishing people deliberately to make them extremely very vulnerable, etc. And you can't interfere in the domestic affairs of these agents. So you don't allow it to take place in your place. You lock.
And that's why they're
Because I
giving
take a break.
directives.
When I return from the break, I do two things. One of them, I'd like to quickly have the gentlemen not at the table, on the stools. They call them bar stools. Bar stools.
Bar.
Yes. B-A-R, Charles. Not the bars in the court, but the bars, the one where we do the drinks.
These tools.
Yes, these are bar stools. So if you didn't know,
The Kanamujungi.
the Karamojong don't have good stools.
We have stools.
Yours are very short. But
Sorry.
when we return, I'd like them to specifically come home here. One of the things that worries me on end is the security, especially in Uganda's urban areas. This week I was looking at a report from the police, and it is indicating how many cars, the junk that Charles is talking about, are being stolen on a daily basis. The report looked at cars. I was looking away from cars. How many people are being attacked when they're returning home at their gates? What we call personal security, break into cars, break-ins, the necklaces that are being stolen, and the people that are being mugged. I was told, and I don't know how true this is, that between the clock tower and Barclays Bank on Entebbe Road and back to Usafi Taxi Park, for every hour, you will record not less than 30 people that have been mugged. And really, when you are, if you run to the police, the first question is, but didn't you know that area is dangerous? It is not that, where were they, how did it happen? No, the question is, but don't you know that that area is dangerous? So it is actually you that should never have been there. I need comments from the gentleman on the table. Charles has been into security for a while. Was David Pukol having done external security, has been consultant on security, and their friend and colleague, General Henry Tumukunde, is now the emperor trying to sort this out. Don't go away.
You're going to love it. Set free the adventure, action, and laughter. Live the drama, guts, and glory. Love the learning, imagination, and happy ever afters. Embrace the music, passion,
only you,
and romance.
this world seem right.
Make room for even more of what you love and tap into unlimited viewing pleasure with the very best selection in locally produced favorites, international channels, and family entertainment. Go TV. Live it. Love it.
How are you all today? Once again, I am John Jacob from Bridgehead 24. Today on Food for Thought, let me give you a hint. Have you gone for an interview? Have you met a new friend? Have you looked for a friend? When you go for an interview, you make a CV and there are so many things you write, and on the corner you put your passport picture. Am I right? When you want to make friends with someone or you want them to join your company is not a building, it is a friendship, it's a partnership. Employees want you to join their company. On a CV, what is the first thing you think employers look at? Is it your qualification, your name, your degree, your skills, your capacities, your leadership history? What do they look at? Yes, they look at everything, but surprisingly, do you know most of the employers first of all look at a paper and they look at your passport picture on the corner. The minute someone looks at your face, they have already decided whether to call you for the interview or don't call you for the interview. When you look at yourself in the mirror, do you see a confident face or an insecure face? Look at pictures. The cameraman tells you, madam, take your picture. Madam, take your picture. Madam, take your picture. How does your face look to your neighbor? The minute someone looks at your face, they will decide whether to call you or whether to fire you. Your face, the confidence on your face begins in your gut. The way you feel about yourself, think about yourself, your self-esteem generates an energy and reflects on your face in the form of confidence. Know the truth and the truth will set you free. Beyond makeup, you need a face that is confident, that people will want to associate with. Have a great day. Keep smiling as you're talking.
Welcome back. Peter Kivazo, The Face Off, Friday night. Charles Romshana, not Romsana. Romshana, Misach, Nwabine, and David Pukol. Misach, I won't start with the guys with the security mind or whatever. By any chance, are you one of those that are worried about the security, especially the urban security in this country? Someone said that actually we've been largely insecure. It is you, the elite, that haven't been hit. Right now it is being highlighted because the elite have been attacked. And therefore, it is causing ripples. I saw Brigadier Tumukunde, Brigadier General Tumukunde.
Lieutenant General Tumukunde.
Okay.
You'll bite your tongue.
Okay, he stayed at Brigadier rather long, so it became part of his name.
Say Lieutenant General Brigadier.
Well, a brigadier and a general are all generals.
All generals.
You have heard the word retired.
RTD.
Yeah.
I saw him huffing and puffing and swearing he would rock the base. The last time he was here, there were rather many bombs around the city that really were happening, and I'm told that he sorted that out or knew where they were happening from. Are you worried about our security?
Yes, Peter, I am worried because insecurity affects us. It affects us all. And what makes me more worried is security is the one thing that the regime has
You don't want
made,
to call it a government.
Well, the two refer to different things, but
Yes,
for
I
purposes of this discussion, the regime has made the flagship brand as to its achievements. They're telling everybody, Mwebakaturo. Now, probably what it takes for people to know that they need to do something is to be awakened from that sleep. But I'm not saying we need to have insecurity run around. You also must realize on the economic side of it that the biggest chunk of our budget, forget about these figures they read and you see how many trillions to roads and all that. The biggest chunk of our money is going to security. And we are being told that we cannot compromise an inch.
I don't know what figures you're reading, Ms. Arch. The ones I read say works, roads actually, and then education.
Well,
and
reading figures and the practical bits on ground are two different things. Because otherwise, how would you explain a scenario where you pass a budget for a whole year, 12 months, and before 3 months, which ordinarily would be vote on account time, before this new system, you would not have had the budget passed. You are still on vote on account, and a department comes for a supplementary budget.
But also there is a 23% cut across the board.
And they keep telling you, oh, that is the bigger chunk of all of those supplementaries actually goes into security. Anyway, figures are one thing, reality is another. We have a big chunk of our money going into security. But the security that we are pushing it into is some display of hardware, mess up roundabouts in urban centers with armored cars and police trucks and tents, create this visibility. For every 3 meters, there is a policeman brandishing an automatic rifle with chains all over. The security personnel will tell you what type of guns those are, LMGs and all that. But at the very spot where there are 2 policemen standing with automatic rifles, you see someone's necklace being pulled. You see someone's handbag snatched. I saw a scene on Queensway.
That's petty crime.
Where, well, what's insecurity? Insecurity is not about bombs and rebels. I saw a lady. A lady was
that we are the only ones in East Africa that haven't been hit by the bombs of Al-Shabaab to the magnitude of
the other day we were commemorating September 11th.
Except Lugogo.
So except to Lugogo. What was in Lugogo? Were there balloons? Anyway, I saw a lady driving a few meters away from where I am. This young man walks towards the car. In the front seat was seated a young little girl, nursery going. Her mom's handbag was just in her legs. There was 2 other people at the back. This guy just opens the door comfortably, pulls the bag, closes the door, runs towards the flyover. And you all of a sudden see some guys make noise and pretend to be running after him, when it's the whole same group. Police looks on. I have not seen any police guy anywhere run after these fellas or apprehend any. You go and make all the reports and all they tell you is, well, we've received similar reports.
Let me ask, and for me, this is the bigger picture of this. Do I want to address it at the level of the 30 boys, 20 boys that are attacking you on the street? Or do I want to attack the economic condition that has poured a whole gang of boys and even given them command to come on the street?
No. When you start it at that level, you will miss some point. Because when you come to address insecurity in an urban area, when you come to address insecurity in Kampala, where probably every 30 minutes cases are reported in an area in a radius of 100 meters, then you think you'll start with addressing the unemployment question. Yes, unemployment is a major contributor to the insecurity in the cities, in the urban areas, in the villages even. Because when I go home, my mom will tell me how many matoke were cut and stolen, how many cassava tubers were uprooted, and cows and goats and chicken and all that. Yes, there's the ingredient of unemployment and the economic hardships. But can we see a semblance of effort from the security forces. I've listened to General Tumukunde in the few one, two days he's been in office, talking about how he's going to pick these gangs like Nsenene. I listened to General Kihura before, talking about Chifesi, and they walk around the city and tell us how they're going to pick all these. Father Chirumira has been at it. But how many have been picked? And how many have been kept away? Because even those they say they have picked, the next day you see them on the streets. And everybody knows, especially those in the security circles, where these gangs operate. Budgets get released for deployments every other minute. Where does this deployment lead to? Why should we over-concentrate? I was seeing pictures the other day. Unfortunately, I didn't attend when Dr. Besigye was appearing at Kasangati Court. And you see the deployment, you may think Konya is a little thing. You may think the head of Al-Shabaab is the one going to court. And in any case, someone going to court, maybe you may think someone is staging a rescue mission. So why can't we use similar zeal, similar effort, similar interest to pick these petty, so-called petty thieves that
no, that visa is more dangerous than Konya.
Exactly. So flashing a visa, you had the police guy who was a witness the other day saying Dr. Besigye is going to church. Is extremely dangerous, and you know. But snatching people's handbags, now it has gone beyond handbags. It has gone beyond handbags. People are being found in their vehicles, either stopped or they find you parked in your car, and they tell you to get out. You get out and they drive the car away, or you stay in and they will kill you. People are being mugged at the entrances of their gates.
Indeed.
And we think it's life as usual.
David, when we had Operation Wembley, one of the amazing things for me about Operation Wembley was that the moment it was launched on the streets, they knew where the thieves were, they knew who the thieves were, they knew where they operated from. And I was saying, did they have all this intelligence? Did they get a halo over their head like the Virgin Mary and suddenly knew where these people were? What is the magic that came on the security? And where did that magic evaporate to?
You see, those are different times than now. Now, those who are in charge of security agencies like Kele Keura, like President Museveni of the later days, okay, Saint Museveni of the later days, and others are tolerating, actually the state is committing crimes, but instead of using the official security apparatus, they recruit these other people. Like, look at Kiboko Squad, where they operate from, where they do what. Look at Kifesi the other day beating people. I don't know whether Kifesi or who. We just saw people beating others, and the police is there taking photographs and so forth, supervising this whole thing. And I don't know the names, but it looks like an official policy now that instead of when the state wants to do dirty things, okay, they use other people so that it does not reflect the name of the. So there's a proliferation of agencies now. These are getting out of hand, and you don't know how to control. Because on one hand, you need them to fix Besigye, for example. So you're creating enemies out of V-sign, or out of somebody swearing himself on Facebook or on YouTube, and that is a president. And then you're creating, you're taking all the resources of security, all the personnel, all the budget, the tear gas and so forth. You're taking them away from human security. So in order to protect the regime, okay? So whose security? So the resources are being spent on the protection of those who are in power. And therefore they are neglecting the security, fear, freedom from fear for the ordinary people. And now that making matters worse, the economy is not working for everybody. It is working for some. Now, the rest are forced to open their own way. Because if, for example, you go to Busoga and you have taken this land, an acre for 300,000, 50,000 for 6 cuttings, and you translate that to 150 shillings per day, and then they go to rent a place along the road or to buy a boda. Now, when that business fails, where do they go? The Indian who's having a sugar factory is keeping my land for 6 years, 6 cuttings of sorts, and you don't have money. And when you used to own that land, you used to intercrop beans with matoke and so forth. Now it is all sugar. And because you have not worked the economy right, the rent for this land, so you are not protecting citizens. You have left them to whom it may concern. Indian coolies have come here, they have put 7 or 8 factories for sugar in Busoga. And you have impoverished the Basoga, who used to be a proud people. There was no war in Busoga. How did they become poor? How did they come to put on jiggers, for clothes, so for shoes? So this is totally unacceptable, that a people whom you could not compete with to produce doctors, engineers, lawyers, pilots, Busoga, they had no war. How did they become poor? What did you do in your 30 years to make them poor? Now, when you look at Chiramira Forest, it was given to Madvan. If you look at Mayuge, a forest has been given to another company. If you look at, Citizen just stopped the other day, this man who doesn't know how to pray, called Meta. How can you ask for a whole forest? Didn't your father teach you how to pray? Didn't the Imam teach you our Lord's Prayer? Didn't you? Why do you ask for a whole livelihood of a nation called Mabira? The citizens had to stop them. So now, where do you put citizens who have now fallen below, who the country is not working for everybody? So where do they go? They are forced now to open it. So there are things which needs to be fixed. Yes, Tumukunde, good luck. You may fix it in terms of in the short term, but if these other fundamentals are not sorted out, and then for police, if you use this, because the very people who are doing this are known to the police hierarchy, they use them against political enemies. Now, when it comes to mugging and doing that, the police stands their eye the other side. So we ask ourselves, whose security? Are we dealing with human security, meaning freedom from fear and freedom from want? Are citizens' needs being met? Are the physical security that makes citizens fear, are they being addressed? Or we are just talking about regime survival, regime security, and therefore again, like Britain, the economy is not working for everybody. The multinationals, as I've said again here, and our politicians in parliament, in cabinet, are just agents, including the presidency in the State House, giving contracts on Sunday at midnight, okay? So you're giving the country away. You go to Munyonyo, the Indian coolies on corridors who are just doing what citizens...
the word coolie wrong. Charles.
Yeah, because what are they? They have a country, we have a country. Do we need another mean?
I know, Charles, you get very obsessively concerned with security. And I see a lot of posts sometimes that I think are extreme on your Facebook wall. But I'm thinking, there is what is regarded as petty. And it's keeping growing. And then there is the underlying that is blowing up slowly, everyone is unsure of. And when we deal with security, you're dealing with food, you're dealing with survival, you're dealing with certainty for tomorrow, and it's growing. Are we able to address this, or have we fallen so short?
I don't know whether you would allow me to use you as an example. But anyway, this is face off.
It's face off. Keep smiling.
It is face off. If it was not by God's grace, you wouldn't be moderating here. You would be late to Chibazo because you were hit on Ginger Road. Now,
and the police asked me what I was doing there.
I think you temporarily entered the coma for a few seconds. And when you told me that story, I laughed. Right?
Sure.
But you are now accusing me of being extreme. I laughed together with your wife.
Prophet of doom.
She was, because you see, that's the cynicism that is with survival, that is with existence. I laughed. But how about the policeman who came to rescue you? See, you mean you didn't know this is Beirut?
It's near Ginger Road Police.
You see, this is workplace, and this is around 8. and the guy is telling you, hey, you mean you were not aware that this place is dangerous? But why is the signpost that it is dangerous?
Beware.
Beware, mbwa kali, hatari. It's not there. So, yes, we now are in extremes. I agree. There are those who are extremely very cynical about this security. And then there are others who are extremely very, and I belong to the other. That I'm very concerned, but at the same time, I think there is a silver lining somewhere. Let me also begin with the cynicism around Mr. Tumukunde of today and Mr. Tumukunde of yesterday. The Mr. Tumukunde of yesterday is shot. Thank God, he survives the bullet in the leg. I actually don't know what it was.
No, we were told it is not a bullet, and he does not know.
No, he knows himself.
For him, he's saying, I've been shot. And someone, these ones who always tell us, either they are gangs who have attacked police, or whichever they are, those ones who know how...
Running bonkers.
Running bonkers. That's what. Says, that general is a general who does not know
the difference between a bullet and a canister.
canister. As if the spokesperson of the police is an expert in tear gas canisters. You see, and that was the debate. The debate was not that the risk of an individual, the life of an individual, the life of a parent who had gone to see how the son or child was faring was in danger. No, it was cynical. It was like it was entertainment. That's how bad it is. Now let me go home.
So that is the Tumukunde of yesterday. What about the one of today?
Now the one of today.
But your yesterday is very recent. The Tumukunde of yesterday.
No, the one of today. I'm still trying to define him. Is he the chief of military intelligence? Is he a director general of internal security? Is he a division commander, force division, or is a minister in charge of policy? Because has he gotten a brief from his predecessor whether some of these things are not policy?
To know what the minister does, what the DG does.
Operations are for the organizations.
Actually, Charles, I also thought some of these operations and the face things in town and this security is under police.
Whichever you see,
and police is internal affairs
as minister for security.
but we are not seeing General J.J. Odongo talk about these things.
As minister for security, as minister for security, is supposed to receive a handover brief on how the two organizations, internal and external, have been managed, and then see which policy. It's about policy, and then deal with the budget.
It's not operations.
Yeah, but he says I'm now going to pick them and then take them away. When I pick them, I will take them to the police, and they make statements, and then they go to court. So the one who is going to be taking a statement from Chifesi is also Chifesi. You are not even very sure that the one who is going to try Chifesi is Chifesi. You can't even be sure, because who is Chifesi? Can he give us the definition of Chifesi? You know, there are some words which are very interesting. You have Chikazi. We don't call Omukazi if the girl is nice, or your mother, or like a kid who is say Chikazi, Chibaby, Cheija. Now then you have Chifesi. I don't know how they even thought of the word
Chitimba,
when they are even describing it, it's romantic. Chifesi, it's not our face. So, but there was Kataimbwa.
Yes, a lot of it.
Oh yes, I even don't know why. That one is Kataimbwa. Now you see Kataimbwa, but man, what it does? Hitting the skull of a human being with an iron bar, splitting it, and people died. But do you know the political narrative? Because when they are going to bury, then you have a rally. And you know, organizing rallies these days is extremely very expensive. But here you have a rally, and the politician, your elite, comes and says, yes, sorry, the coffin I will pay for the food, and government is doing everything possible. Investigations are ongoing to arrest the perpetrators. That's done. You wait for another one. But time now has come for them.
No report is released.
So now it's now going to be the peasant to talk on the elite's death.
So Kataimbwa was for the peasant.
For the peasant.
Now it is the elites being attacked.
Yeah, but they are trying to show you that, you see, because we used to think vehicles were safe. we used to think we are secure because you have the guard at the gate. You look at the gate, you think you are okay. Now they get you before you enter. Even at the roundabout, they open the car and work on you. Now, when they hit 4, 5, 10 elites, now I'm going to see which language the peasant is going to say when he is buying the elite. Government is still investigating. Everything will be done around. By next week, we missed them. You usually hear the narrative, that rhetoric around the death of Joan Kagezi. We have missed him. It's like it was like a chakara. This wild bird has taken off. We missed him. But by Monday we'll be having them. Now, let me ask you. Mr. Museveni is coming from New York and is received by not less than 4,000 border borders. Have you interrogated how they get organized? How they get mobilized? We have guys here. We have guys here who cannot call for
Chitata. Chitata is the head of the border borders.
You see, some names.
I saw him almost being beaten in a meeting earlier today.
You see me, some names.
So he can mobilize.
What I'm saying, you see, in Nyankore we call Oksinda. That you don't mention the name of your mother-in-law, the name of your father-in-law. Some names so those names you are talked about,
you cinder them.
You cinder them because a guy who says tomorrow vehicles will not work. Yes, and indeed vehicles don't work. You don't even get taxis. You don't get the border borders. And by the way, they even beat. And the next is protesting against what? KCCA. And then General Karikehura invites him. And he says, we have had fruitful negotiations and dialogue and things are resolved. They don't arrest them. They don't want. They are there. But they go to welcome boss. Now, when they go to welcome boss, when he is picking his documents for nominations, and they are putting on yellow, and they are withdrawing, did you know what they did? Didn't you mourn? They rooted, they stored, but putting on yellow. And who was guarding them? The Uganda police.
And actually, they recently got medals as well.
But you see, now you go back to your community policing. The DPC will bring the OC before criminals assembled, and he says, Mbuuze. He says, oh, yeah, Fande, Kulacho Turugunya. I said, you apologize very quickly. You even have the inspector.
You're kidding me.
Yes, you even have the inspector general of police stripping a police officer before peasants, before people. Yes, stripping them. So it's now you have seen that the body is being dropped in sacks. We haven't been around. You can say in where? Yes. Saiso sacks. I don't know why they even purchase Saiso sacks because they are not available. Now we have 2 operations before even Tumukwede comes in. He finds 2 operations. He finds Operation Usaram in Rwenzori by the UPDF. That is to clear in Rwenzori because Rwenzori is also mayhem. Yes, and then there is also another operation in Kampala called Operation Fagia Uchafu. Clean the rubbish. It's supposed to have taken those people you are talking about. But that one is a bit complex. That I explained that. Ocean scrub, that one I explained. So you have those 2 operations, but whom are they aiming at? Now before you even
they're aiming at the thugs, so I suppose.
Yeah, but then you have the Enanga, Mr. Enanga, who speaks for police, say, but those are our informers.
Who?
Mr. Enanga.
The Chifesi.
The masked goon.
No, but the Inspector General of Police this week said that that is regrettable.
That what?
That anyone would claim them or own.
Can you imagine the Inspector General of Police putting up an inquiry on Chiboko Squad? And when he was at Clock Tower, he saw them beat. Looked at them. I think he was also thinking about the smuggling it. He said, this is why Uganda said, okay, anyway, I think that was his deputy, Mr. Ochora. To do a commission of inquiry. It's like Mr. Museveni putting up a commission of inquiry on the 7 trillion, how 4 trillion out of 7 was stolen. Well, then what does CID do?
But Charles,
what does IGG do? Just as Auditor General.
Information. The very first time we saw Chiboko Squad on the streets of Kampala, they came from CPS.
I'm sure someone has those pictures here. They can actually search them.
They descended on the streets from CPS.
And we were fast forward the other day when we were in Ajanankum for prayers, and Dr. Besje was leaving, and they came with the guys were inside the party headquarters. They participated in the prayers. After, when Dr. Besje got on the road with some borders, they got on the pickup, the police pickup. They rode with the guys on the police pickup, got into Kampala Road, and started hitting. And then one officer says, these are our informers. Another one says, we don't know them. Then we'll investigate my foot.
Even when they attack the lawyers,
we take a break.
They left there Uganda police at 100. The bottles. Uganda police at 100 left there at Mbabazi. You report there, you saw the eyewitnesses.
Super Saturday on WBS TV.
Are you nervous? No. I'm terrified. You're divergent. Divergence threaten the system. She's gonna kill me.
I'm not gonna let that happen.
Chris, help me! I can't let anyone else die because of me.
It's time we fight back. You are the key, Trish. No pressure. We can't go out there.
We have to. There's no turning back.
Right, the last segment of the Face Off, Peter Kivazo, Mr. Chinuabine, Charles Romshana, and David Pulkol. David Pulkol graying very fast.
Don't worry, we are going forward.
That may be receding, really,
the
not
wisdom,
going forward.
When you hear what we unpack.
What about Charles Romshana with the hairline receding?
Yes. And I think Ugandans may take off very soon from that runway.
At 0200 96 67 3, you're able to talk to us. 0200 96 67 3, you're able to talk to us. We'll try and take those calls. Hello? Hello?
Peter Kivalda, thank you for the program.
Welcome, your name?
My name is Katon Kadi, youth chairperson, Nasana Municipality. I want to make a reaction on security. I think security needs the public also to intervene. But at times you see the public has no interest when the police, after the police arrest the culprits, they normally intervene and they rescue them. So you see, at times you see that the public has no interest to make sure that the security is kept intact. Secondly, manpower problem. The police, I should urge the government, I think should have to recruit more police officers. The police officers are not enough. You find that most of the criminals in Kampala, the so-called face, they move in groups. That's why I'm trying to react on Mr. Charles Romshana's issue. As he said that one time we saw the criminal and the police officer was around, but he never made any attempt to make sure that he makes a follow-up. The problem was, I think, the problem was the manpower. So I should urge the government, if it's possible, it includes more police officers. And in terms of deployment, when the police are deployed, there should be enough in Kampala.
Thank you very much. I think you make your point. It's a question of human resource and the will of the public. Hello? Hello? Yes, you're live on the Face Off. Talk to us.
Hey, I'm watching the show right now, but I cannot see the... Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Talk to us.
Yes, this is Okelo Moses calling from Lera.
Yes, how is Lira?
It's okay.
Yes, please contribute. Sorry. Okello Moses was actually not hearing himself on the set. It will take a few seconds. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good evening. Kale Sebo. Yes, talk to us.
Allow me to talk.
Please go on.
Go ahead.
Okay, viewers, the usual. When you don't hear yourself on the set, it is that slight delay. It will happen in a few seconds after you've called. It won't happen instantly. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good evening to you.
Yeah, good evening. So my name is Kibirige calling from Nigeria.
Yes, Kibirige, talk to us and do that fast. Thank you.
Now, I'm going to begin with detail.
Would you do that louder?
Their decision of getting out of the EU, to me, it is not really fair. Even to Britain, to Britain itself. Because British is going to lose pound, as you can see, it has been so dominant in most of the countries that were colonized by Britain. And for most people who have been using it, maybe to as a foreign exchange to buy certain products in other countries. Secondly, British itself, it is going to lose much confidence from all the countries, member countries, that has been really respecting it. And again, I fail to understand whether they were going, by the time they were going to be members of European Union, they had to go to carry out a referendum just like we have done. It's almost similar to what President Museveni said at one time, that is going to pull out of UCC, International Criminal Court.
Thank you, Kibirige. We get your point. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening to you.
Your name, question or comment?
My name is... What?
Your name, question and or comment?
My name is Salma.
Mm.
Yeah, and my comment is,
Mm.
well, the politicians are hosted, and they listen to our problems, and we know what is going on, but then what do they do to change? Nothing is being changed. Everything remains the same. So why should they even listen if they won't do anything? We want change. We don't just want people sitting in our audiences and listening to our problems that at the end of the day they go and sit. We want change. If they want to listen, let them listen and put a change. We don't simply want to claim our problems to someone who won't change anything.
Thank you, Salma. Salma, for her, it's about only listen to us if you worth the issue. We'll take the last caller. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Your name?
Face Off.
Yes, you're live on Face Off. Talk to us.
So, what I wanted to say,
And your name?
I'm Sentongo Geoffrey from Entele.
Yes, Sentongo.
Yes, what I'm saying,
Mm.
in Uganda we have a lot of problems that on the security. Now we look today, as I was sending to Nakasero, I saw the traffic officers holding the border guy just because of one guy who died of the this one is over Entele.
Mm.
So why don't they put everything in place before they see problems? The laws to be enforced before. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, he's asking, why don't you enforce before? Why are we reactionary? Several things that I think about. Sometimes you talk about the police, and I quickly look. I drive through Naguru a lot of times, and I look at the barracks that side of Naguru. I've also been to, is it still the mobile police unit, where practically the police sleep in a tent. And after that, we deploy them in the morning to do this work. I look at the truck these days that gives them food when they are rolling around Kampala, and I say, okay, possibly they've improved the food, now it's warm.
Send SMSs. They were getting lunch at between 4 and 5.
Okay, I didn't know about that.
Send SMSs.
It's warmer now. Then, colors. You put policemen under the bridge on the northern bypass at a roundabout, and I just reflect and say, where do they do their toilet through the day? If this community does not allow them into these conveniences, what happens to them? A lady has talked about numbers, that you will have police, and indeed they will be there, but they will be outnumbered. I've given an example on this show 1 billion times of one of the abattoirs in Kampala, where I went to buy my dog meat, and I got boys smoking bangi straight out in the public. I asked the policeman whether he had seen and he could do anything. And there were only 2 policemen at the booth. And he told me very politely, but sir, and he didn't know me, the whole of this place, everyone smokes bangi. So do you want me to arrest everyone? And then jokingly, he told me they will even overpower me. And I felt for him. So as we talk about the security, have we thought about the conditions of the men that actually are charged with the responsibility of securing us? Their safety, their comfort, or the absence of it? Then what do you do with the gangs and gang leaders? Can we even decide, like Colombia, to just go and talk to them?
Now, Peter, those same police guys who told you the bangi guys would overpower them, go back to the same place, and instead of reporting that there are people smoking bangi, you tell them, I saw someone with a BSJ t-shirt, or I saw guys there with leaflets written on defiance. And you'll see in a split of a second how many police trucks will have surrounded that place and arrested everybody and will be searching for anything blue. What am I saying? If only we can use a quarter of the zeal that the police and other security agencies are putting in fighting an illusion called political dissent. If we can only use a quarter of that zeal and resource into fighting the enemy that is causing the real insecurity now in this city and the towns around us, would be much, much safer. Yes, I agree, we have manpower problems. Yes, I agree, we could be in need of having a few more policemen.
An RDC that is usually a member of this panel, Charles' minister, Chinese Nyonjo, says, can we support a radical decision that if you were getting face, shoot them on sight? Would that solve the issue?
No, it's not about shooting them on sight. I was going to say, let's first account for the resource that we have. The manpower that we have, the financial resources, the hardware. Because now they are well motorized, they are well facilitated. The problem is these so-called facilitations are blotting the budget for the comfort of a few people up there in those forces, not the ordinary policeman that is supposed to do the work. So even when they say these things happen and they are not as interested, it's because they don't have the conviction, they don't have the morale to work, they don't have, like Charles was saying, someone has waited for lunch at a deployment center for the whole day. Lunch is not coming.
But be fair, hasn't the facilitation of the police over the years improved quite a lot? From the one Katumba Wamala was fundraising for in industrial area?
True, I agree. Then how come? It has improved. It has improved. But we also need to see its improvement vis-a-vis the sophistication of crime, the coming into force now of the cybercrime and the use of mobile phones and the way the thugs can communicate and the flexibility that is required therein. And by the way, Peter, improvement also has its own limitations. You could move me from a worn-out police uniform and I'm putting on a new uniform. And I probably have 2 pairs of new uniform, okay? But is that what motivates me to work? Do I have money? And just a little bit on that. I also want to tell you, some of us who move a lot to up-country stations, most of these things are here, where the cameras are, where many of you can see. This is why you will see traffic police guys in very crisp white uniforms, and they are smart. The other day I was driving to Bushenyi, just last week. We stopped at a traffic station at the boundary between Mbarara district and Shema district. And we encountered this policeman who was in a torn uniform. Torn, real torn, and you could see the collar falling off. So if you're going to say that person has benefited from the improved facilitation to the police, look at the houses they're still staying in. There's a problem.
David, now I think let's citizens. I think even it is wrong to say the problem is the police, because the rank and file are really victims like the rest of society. Absolutely. Those who are enjoying are those ones with those shoulder badges, those chauffeurs and these collar things. If I was the president, I would even ask them to collect all their pips and put in the basin, go and solve this problem, then come and put on these pips. Otherwise, you don't deserve them, because they are living in comfort and they are misusing the police. They think that the police should only be there to tear gas, to watch over the regime security, and they have ignored the ordinary people. And then also the welfare of personnel and where they sleep, what they eat, their salaries is not improved. So the uniform could have improved. The armored cars could have improved. Now when you see the deployment of our army now on all the hills around Kampala and big cities, with tanks, with mambas, battle wagons, you can see resources. You see men camped in, whether it is this Baha'i temple or which hill in Kampala and even beyond. So you see the resources that are being misdirected just because of Besigye swearing in. What is this enemy? Why are you putting resources there and you are removing resources that could provide security to the ordinary people? Because in the villages, like Toro, I was told, people even, you sleep, you find your matoke is ripening, and by the time you wake up in the morning, somebody has cut it off. So you are forced to eat before even it matures. Otherwise, it is no longer yours. So the theft which is taking place in the villages there, while there is the bulk of security resources are being misdirected. By the time you fly these jet fighters on top of Kampala, I just ask yourself whether you are not mad, because the other day Ankunda said the person who killed people in Makini was mad. So imagine, by the time you deploy heavy tanks on these hills, and then you're leaving ordinary people struggling with security, are you not mad? So how mad is madness that is confronting our security? So I think there's a misdirection of resources. So the problem is not even manpower. Manpower is there. Manpower has increased from 15,000 to over 45,000 policemen in Uganda. Now, besides,
what is the problem?
Besides now, even the fingerprints they have of all citizens, even they tap mobile phones. They have dogs section. They have tools they use not to have, even forensic. But each time they investigate, no report. I don't know where it goes. So police now has more resources.
That's if they investigate.
Because they come, they even draw the map. They even take the police dog to sniff. They construct how the crime was committed. But it ends nowhere.
Chaz, parting shots.
Inside the barracks, Makindi barracks, inside the military barracks, the children and the wives of soldiers are not safe. This is inside the barracks. That's how far it has collapsed. That even the children, even the wives of soldiers, you can't guarantee their safety. You see, Mukuru Chibazo, you know, animal also is very interesting. It has a chi.
Chiembe, Chitimba, Chibanda, Chifesi, Chi businesses.
You say Chipulko. Police's capabilities are being improved. That visible improvement, because they know how to do that. You will see brand new guns, you will see brand new uniforms. There are these intimidating vehicles because you can, this Eastern communist kind of propaganda, you say big car, but what we need to do? It can't even pass through a swamp, it can't, but anyway, it's there. Yes, you can see that visible improvement. But ask yourself, before they brought these motorbikes, the ones that they have brought in, they bought around 100, I think, 1,000 price motorbikes for the Metropolitan. You trace any? You can't. You bring in motorbikes, you are not even sure about spares, and within a year, I think that was during Chogam. Remember that batch they brought in during Chogam? Finished. Check whether these cameras, which they brought around Chogam, whether they are working.
Some are.
Even crime preventers were given motorcycles.
And if you are going to follow, to write a brief, the facilities that go with them. You see, you even have equipment before you even train manpower to handle that equipment. So, yes, during Katumba, Mr. Katumba Wamara's reign as police boss, he would mobilize the community to buy a vehicle for security. It was need driven. What is this improvement? Is it need driven? My submission is that no, it is commission driven. Someone says, if I purchase from here, what percentage will you give me? 20%. So give me all the junk that you have, and the guy gets his yes. You see, you wait for the audit report. You know, when you have it in roads, you don't know how Mr. Museveni, the affection he had for the roads. He had for the roads. Keiso Tonya, Keiso Wati, you would have half of the state of the nation address on roads. But when he comes back and he says, this is real face now, it's real Chunura. 4 billion is gone. Now, you when you have a commission of inquiry,
trillion.
4 trillion. If you have when you have a commission of inquiry into the purchase of some of these things.
The last time we had one by Julia Sebutinde into the police, she was high-handed on them. She was what? And finally,
so
the report went into limbo.
Yes. So we have. You need to interrogate the management.
Zero tolerance.
You need to interrogate the management of security. Who gives orders? Who gives orders?
Charles,
is it the region of
very gut question. You know Henry Tumukunde very well.
He's supposed to be my good friend.
I still suppose he's your friend.
No things
I don't know about the good. I know he's your friend.
It was like yesterday.
In your heart of hearts,
I know he has saved my life severally.
In your heart of hearts, he's been swearing. He's huffed and puffed. Do you think he will impact the situation? Yes or no?
It's add the two, divide by 2, and you get the average. In essence,
yes, because there's
I have to get out of here.
You see, when he was
Keura, there's
Museveni,
and there's Muhozi.
Let's go to
so where do you fix
boss? When he was the Director General in terms of security organization, his president summoned him with his deputy, Brigadier Kayanja then Kano, who was commander of Wembley, and this one is supposed to give a brief to the country. Bad put out of action. Chibazo, put out. What does that mean? We killed them without trial. You see, but this is a politician, Mr. Museveni, whose policy is do not execute extrajudicially. But now you have a deputy who is giving a brief before a lawyer that you know what I've been doing. I have been putting them out of action. And I can tell you in history, it's because it even came in the media, there was a huge quarrel, there was a conflict on that, on the modus operandi of the operation between the Director General and the Deputy. So you are now going to have the same minister, because he has even said it, I'm going to seek special clearance from the powers that be.
So that nobody pleads for the people we arrest.
Because he's already aware that not only will there be pleading, but the answers to the pleas will be answered in the affirmative. They are doing a good job. So it's complex.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, gentlemen.
And
we have to
God
go.
is great.
Good evening, and catch you on Tuesday in Issues at Hand, and Friday next week again in the Face Off. My friends on the Diary of Intellectuals, I've seen the discussion. Some of them are asking why Pulkol is saying that the Basoga are putting on jiggers and why Pulkol should be taken serious. Mish will answer those. Good night.
WBS TV.
Hello kids, this weekend on Kids Corner we have storytelling, kids news, talent. Catch us on Saturday, Sunday at 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Do not dare miss.
I want 1 minute to tea time.
Tea time forever!
Super Saturday on WBS TV.
Are you nervous? No. I'm terrified. You're divergent. Divergence threatened the system. She's gonna kill me.
I'm not gonna let that happen.
Guys, help me! I can't let anyone else die because of me.
It's time we fight back. You are the key, Triss. No pressure. We can't go out there.
We have to. There's no turning back.
kukyusa kikaze nkuyitenga mu mbeja onerabiza abaali abange maama ne taata musonyi